Dear Diary, it's been a busy month and a half since I last got the chance to do this, so a catch-up is needed. Off the back of the home draw versus Glenavon, we got the job done over them in a League Cup semi, and we'll take on Larne in the final, but drew our next two league games off the back of that as well against Cliftonville, largely thanks to a first half red card, and Crusaders due to an injury time goal. So not an ideal start to a stretch that looked quite kind to us, albeit we did suffer a lot of injuries during that time as well. Thankfully, since those draws, we have won our next 4 league games, as well as a 4th round Challenge Cup tie which sets up a quarter-final against St Johnstone. So all those points mean we are 5 points clear on top of the table with a game in hand, nearly 2/3 through the regular season. And hopefully that gap gets extended with tasty clashes coming up against Glenavon, 4th, and Coleraine, 2nd. We're starting to get more bodies back from that injury crisis, so let's hope we can start to pull away. Plus, it's January transfer window time. We have some money to work with, so we'll see what happens. Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 27 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Linfield. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today it is a double header against two teams who are inside the top 4 here in the Danske Bank Premiership in Northern Ireland. First off we host Glenavon, then off the back of that we also host Coleraine, 4th and 2nd on the table, and it is the January transfer window as well that is coming up right at the start of that second game. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But as mentioned in the intro, we have gone for quite a way off the back of that game against Glenavon in yesterday's episode. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Off the back of that, as mentioned, a few little frustrating draws initially in the league against Cliftonville and Crusaders, but in between then, very entertaining but good League Cup semi-final win over that same opposition. So finally, we have picked up a win over them since we have been in charge here at Linfield. And then off the back of that draw against Crusaders, we have picked up 5 straight wins, 4 of those in the league, and the other one being against the team we were expecting to beat in the 4th round of the Challenge Cup. That was the cup competition, which is largely made up of teams from the lower divisions in Scotland. So what that does mean, we are 5 points clear now on top of the Danske Bank Premiership, and also we have made our way through to a League Cup final, which is against Larne. That is coming up in mid-February, so maybe going to have to wait until next week till we bring you guys that one. And also in the quarterfinals of that Challenge Cup, taking on St Johnstone from the Scottish Championships. In quite good shape here at Linfield for now, and a really good chance for us here today to potentially extend our gap on top of the table with these games coming up against both Glenavon and against Coleraine. Glenavon we didn't play that long ago, it was earlier this week. We are fairly familiar with these guys, having also played them while we were down at Banbridge Town. Gary Hamilton, the broody face, is in charge, and they are a solid team here in Northern Ireland, albeit probably not in the title hunt at the moment. It does look like it is a bit of a free horse race, albeit, as we've mentioned a few times this season, there is always Larne, who do have quite a few games in hand, of course, with them also taking part in the league phase of the Conference League this season, albeit even if they won all of their games in hand, they still didn't catch up to us. They are in an interesting position and are currently under an interim manager as well. So the previous manager got the boot off the back of a bit of a rough start domestically, even though they are playing catch-up, but we are in quite a strong position nearly 2/3 of the way through the season in Glenavon. We did pick up a win against earlier this season. That was by a scoreline of 2-0. There is right down the bottom, and that one was away from home. So based on that, you'd like to think that we can continue our winning ways in that one. And off the back of that game, we take on a Coleraine team who have started to really charge into that second spot on the table. Not a team I was expecting to be that high up there, but they are doing a decent job despite the fact their media prediction was down in 6th. We played them all the way back at the start of the season and picked up a 3-1 win away from home, so hopefully can do something similar back at Windsor Park today against those guys as well. But obviously they are in a lot better form these days than they were come the start of that league season. In terms of us going into these games today, as I mentioned in that intro, we did have a little bit of an injury crisis through that thick run of fixtures that we have got through off the back of the last episode, and they have been coming. We've had a lot of rest days as well, so that is the reason why our squad does look quite dangerous in terms of the match load for some of these players, some of them being on a very heavy match load. But most of our best 11 are available for the first game of today's episode. Just one change there. McCausland does come in at right wing in place of Stephen Fallon. He picked up an injury, is going to be out for a further 8 days to 2 weeks there with that pulled calf muscle. But apart from that, most of the other players have returned. We are still waiting a little bit though on Matty Lund, one of our defensive midfielder and right back backups. He is not quite right after he also suffered quite a serious injury as well. But quite a few of the remainder of the squad have just worked their way back from injuries over the last little while. Players like Robbie McDade, Charlie Sayers being the most notable, and also in amongst that time we've had a few suspensions as well, picking up too many yellow cards, which is something we might need to deal with sooner rather than later, because even players like Jake Kane are not the only ones who are picking up those suspensions. But it is a big double header coming up today. Now I think we've done enough waffle going into this one. We'll come back shortly with the first game from today's episode, both of them coming from Windsor Park, as first up we take on Glenavon. And 12 minutes into this one, the first highlight is a corner in our favour. Noel Quinn puts this towards the far post for McDade. We are at home, of course, in the blue with the white shorts, and it is Glenavon, who are in the rather offensive looking lime green there with the black shorts. But Logan here starts to make his way down the right hand side. McCausland puts that one in for Cooper, just heads that one wide, but so far pretty quiet game and still 0-0. And we go 10 minutes shy of half time for our next highlight in this game. So the first half has been a quiet one, but we have a throw in here inside the final third, and Chris Shields makes his way inside the box. A good effort there after cutting inside from that left wing, but forces a good save there from Matthews in goal for Glenavon. One change we have made tactically since last episode is that we have put our goalkeeper Johns just on a goalkeeper on defend. He was coming out a little bit and left us in trouble at times in those games that we have played off camera since yesterday's episode. So hopefully a bit more solid off the back of that change. And unfortunately, good chance there for McDade, and he was onside. So if he put that one away, it would have stood. But a few minutes shy of half time, it is still 0-0. And that is half time here in this first game of today's episode. It was a very quiet first half, and in terms of the performance, not that disappointed. We have not let Glenavon have a single shot in this game. Meanwhile, we actually had a few good chances there to open the scoring. So not going to panic too much here in terms of substitutions or anything like that. We do have Logue on a yellow card, but he is actually one of our better players on the pitch. So we'll tell the boys to keep on going, and hopefully they can get a result as we get the second half underway, still locked up at 0-0. And up to the hour mark, nothing's happened so far in the second half apart from a shot off target for Glenavon. I think it's time for us to try and change things up here in terms of our squad. We're going to take off some players who did come into this one on that heavy workload. So Noel Quinn can come off for Charlie Sayers making his way back from that injury. Give him some game time to get that match sharpness up. Also Chris Shields, he's gone down to a red heart, playing quite well, but probably a good option here to take him off. And with Matty Lund out, our only option on the bench is the big red card machine in Jake Kane. And also Robbie McDade, only going okay since he came back from injury, will bring on the young 17-year-old in Ignis Stankovicius, also known as Stunky. He can come on and hopefully bag us a goal here in this last half hour. Still 0-0. And a few minutes off those substitutions, we do have a highlight here to get things underway in the second half, even though it has taken around about 20 minutes, but we are in position here just inside of the right half of the field. And Cooper, good chance here to square that for Stanky, but unfortunately he went for power over placement. It comes off the underside of the crossbar, and still somehow 0-0. And we've just entered the last 20 minutes of this game. We have another throw in here just inside of the opposition half. We play that back to our defenders, but start to camp inside their half here as Logue on that yellow card just holds things up and plays that over to his centre-back partner in Paldy O'Connor. We have definitely been the better team in this game, so hopefully we get a goal sooner rather than later, and there it is. It is Ignas Stankovičius, aka Stanky, the 17-year-old who we've brought into the squad off the back of that injury that McDade did have recently, and he's done a pretty good job covering both striker and left wing. Nice ball over the top there from Logue for Stewart, squares that for Stanky, and he wrong foots the goalkeeper there as he puts that in the bottom right corner, and finally we grab a 1-0 lead in this one. And while we are here, we might make our last 2 substitutions as well. Take off Logue on that yellow card for a Gumbo, and also Kemi Logan is on a red heart, only on a 6.8. I think our last change, Connor Pepper, can come on for him off the back of grabbing that 1-0 lead. And we're just about to enter injury time in this one. Coleraine, it looks like, going to continue their good form with a 2-0 win over Lamb, but it wasn't a game full of many highlights, but thankfully Stanky came off the bench and grabbed us a goal with one of those 2 good chances that he had inside that last half hour. It was well set up by Stewart and from Logue, and it does mean that we pick up a 1-0 win, which is very much deserved. As you can see from the stats, Glenavon didn't even register a shot on target, so thankfully we just did enough there to pick up 3 points, albeit we are not going to grab a bigger lead on top of the table just yet, because Coleraine, it looks like, also picked up a win. We'll just go forward and make sure that Lan did not pull off a very big late comeback in that one. And indeed they didn't, so that sets up an interesting top of the table clash for our next game in today's episode at the start of January, so we'll come back shortly for that second game of today's episode. Linfield versus Coleraine, top of the table clash. And we are back for the second game of today's episode. Coleraine are in the grey with the black. They are playing quite a narrow 4-3-3. We have gone with the very same squad as we did have for that previous game in this top of the table clash. We were on the attack there. Thankfully, Stewart retreats nicely, gets the ball back for us. It's a little bit iffy at the back, but we somehow keep the ball here and start to camp our way inside the half here of Coleraine. We put that one towards Cooper. Very similar highlight to the first one from that previous game, but that one yet again goes high and wide, and still 0-0 here at the 10-minute mark. This would be a big game for us to win, to grab a good break on top of the table, and also with that game in hand over Coleraine. We try and find McDade up front there, but unfortunately the Coleraine defence do cut that one out, but then down the other end they try and play a long ball over the top, and we are able to deal with that. Ball played forward there for McDade, but unfortunately Deane's there to claim that for Coleraine. Should actually be Dean, shouldn't it? Just butchering the English language as per normal, but Coleraine try and play one over the top there for Mitchell, but Logue is there to tidy that one up. Palmer plays that one back for Peldy O'Connor. Logan just cuts that inside for Shields. Will play a ball over the top this time. McDade might get to it. The goalkeeper somewhat came out, and finally Robbie McDade has a goal off the back of that injury that he did suffer off camera. Since yesterday's episode, it's his first goal in a little while, and just past the 10-minute mark in this top of the table clash, we claim a 1-0 lead. It just set up a little bit more than the goalkeeper was hoping for there, and McDade was an assassin in front of goal with that big old head of his, and we grab a 1-0 lead early. And we had to go all the way forward to the 40-minute mark for the next highlight in this one. It is a corner which McDade gets his head on the end of, but unfortunately just puts that one wide, and it looks like we might be going into the sheds here with a 1-0 lead. Coleraine certainly offering a lot more than Glenavon did in that previous game, but just as I was about to say we would go into the sheds with a 1-0 lead, we still might, but we are now down to 10 minutes. A shocking tackle there from Kemi Logan off that throw-in, and right before half-time, we are going to have to make a change here. I think we're going to have to take off one of our attackers and get rid of that attacking midfielder. So I think in this case we might take off Ross McCausland, just switch things up in terms of those wingers, and Connor Pepper will come on, and we'll drop that attacking midfielder back to right back to make sure that we have all 4 defenders for the remainder of this game. Also, we're going to put our wingers on support instead of attack, and we might also put our wing backs on defence as well, but that is not an ideal situation. Maybe we'll just wait until half time before we do the latter of those, but it does look like we might still get into half-time with a 1-0 lead, but now we are down to 10 men for the last 45 minutes of this one. And thankfully we did get into half-time without Coleraine getting a goal back, but that red card right before the half there certainly changes things. A little bit concerning that Pepe also picked up a yellow card there in the 4th minute of added time, but a pretty good first half up until that red card. I think we're going to tell the boys to not get stuck in off the back of what has happened in that first half. Certainly seems to be something which is giving the boys a little bit of red mist in this one. We'll make some changes at halftime as well. Stanky can come on for McDade just with that yellow card. A little bit cautious also. He's been in quite good form recently, and also, despite his recent record with cards, we'll bring on Jake Kane for Chris Shields as well, and just make sure all the roles and the player instructions are right with those yellow cards we did pick up in that first half. But a good first half up until the red card. Hopefully we find a way here to hold on and at least grab something out of this game as we get the second half underway. Down to 10 men, but with a 1-0 lead. And nearly at the hour mark, we have our first highlight here of the second half. It is a free kick in favour of Coleraine. Hopefully we can hold out here as they do clear that away. Our defence, but it falls to Philip Spence. He rockets that one top left corner. It's his first goal of the season, because of course it is. And to be fair, I don't think we would have stopped that one. Even with 11 players on the pitch, we deal with it there through Noel Quinn. But one touch to control it, then rockets that top left corner. Absolutely no stopping that one, and I think we might just make one change off the back of that. One of our centre-backs now has picked up a yellow card in O'Connor. We will bring on Ogumbo for him, but it is going to be tough for this last half hour, now locked up at 1-1 and still down to 10 men. And before we can make that substitution, another highlight has started before we can take O'Connor off, and it looks like it might be something interesting here as Stinky tries to play a ball over the top for Stewart. Slide tackle, but Wilson does win the ball there inside the box. He squares that nicely though for Stanky, but unfortunately the goalkeeper makes a good save, and that substitution does mean we won't see the corner. Still 1-1 with 25 minutes left. And with 20 minutes left in this one, we have a free kick inside the final third. Lowe gets his head on the end of that one, puts it just over the bar, so we're creating chances, but still 1-1. And while we are here, I think we are going to make our last substitution at this time. A few players up front are down to a red heart. So I think what we're going to do here, put our wing backs on defend just to solidify things at the back, and also we might take off Joel Cooper on that 6.9 and bring on Aaron Lyle on loan from Rangers. Their manager has wanted us to give him game time in that right wing spot. Actually thought he'd be more suited to being a central attacking midfielder, but of course we're not playing one anymore in this game, so we'll bring him on here for the latter stages of this one and hopefully hold on to a point. And a few minutes off the back of that last substitution of ours, there is a clearance there from one of the Coleraine players, and Kane now plays a ball forward for Stanky. It was a little bit of a tug there from Allen already on a yellow card. He picks up his second. In fact, it might have even been a straight red card. So off the back of that, now that it is 10 versus 10, we can change things completely, put our wing backs back onto support and also our wingers back onto attack. So it does give us the freedom here to just try and go on the attack a little bit. Now that it is again 10 versus 10 in this one for the final 10 or so minutes of this game. Unfortunately, nothing coming from that free kick, but now game on, 10 versus 10 and 1-1 with 10 minutes left. And with 5 minutes left in this one, it is a free kick here for Coleraine. Spence will play that one over the top, but thankfully Johns comes out to claim that one and takes his time on the ball. Hopefully can pump this down the other end and find Stanky, but unfortunately doesn't quite win that header, and Wilson plays that one back to the Coleraine defence. The missed header of Mitchell nearly gets in behind there, but thankfully Ogumbo recovers quite well and does get the ball back for us there off the back of that error. Now Stankovicius does provide himself to be a bit of a nuisance there. It falls to Aaron Lyle off the bench. He grabs a goal for us with only 4 minutes left, and we might have just stolen this one with that late red card to Coleraine. We'll go back to a cautious mentality and also put our defensive wing backs back into that sort of role, and also our wingers on support as well. But we might have just done enough there to grab all 3 points in this one, despite the fact we played a large proportion of that second half with only 10 minutes. A bit of a cluster there, but Stanky just provides himself to be a bit of a nuisance. The ball falls to Lyle and he tucks that one away from a very tight angle, and the man on loan from Rangers might have just given us all 3 points here in a big top of the table clash. We are getting deep now into injury time, and it looks like that goal is going to be the deciding factor What a win that has turned out to be off the back of that late red card in the first half to Cammy Logan. Off the back of that, they did grab a goal at the hour mark, but then they got a red card with 12 minutes left, and that did prove to be a big turning point from there. We continued to grab the ascendancy. As you can tell by the XG graph, we certainly weren't playing badly, even down to 10 men, but we got a late chance there through Lyle, and we took it, and thankfully, we pick up all 3 points, because looking at the stats from that game, it did feel like a draw there would have been harsh, albeit if it was 11 versus 10, those stats could have been a little bit different if that was the case for the entirety of that second half. But as you can see, that is quite a big result for us, because now we grab an 8-point gap on top of the league around about 2/3 through the season, and we do still have that game in hand as well. And also Lan continue to drop points, albeit did do us a bit of a solid there, taking some off of Glenavon. So we are in quite a good position now after 21 games played, as I said, about 2/3 through the season, 8 points clear on top of the table off the back of a narrow but entertaining 2-1 win at home over Coleraine. And back in the inbox off the back of that double header in today's episode, 2 narrow wins, but I think we played well enough in both of those games to pick up those 6 points that we did get. Thankfully, that red card in that second game did not prove too costly, and I think we definitely need to make a change now to the tactic, go to the out of position instructions, and as you can see, get stuck in is no longer ticked, and it's probably quite useful because we have, as well as those injuries, been dealing with quite a few suspensions through all the yellow cards we have been picking up, so I think it's probably a good idea to turn that off. So hopefully we keep more of our better players around for these league games that we do have, so we can hopefully maybe even grab enough of a lead in this regular league season to make sure the championship group phase does not prove to be too important for us. Hopefully we would have done enough of a job during the regular season that we might be able to take it easy then and lift the title a little bit sooner than we might have been expecting here at Linfield. But 2 good wins, despite the fact that we do continue to have a bit of ill discipline. If you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. In terms of the transfer window, it has just opened. We have a bit of wage budget, £765 a week. We might look and see if we can add a little bit of decent squad depth to the club, but we're only going for a player who looks like he might actually improve the squad. It'll be interesting to see if we can do that for that wage amount. But coming up in tomorrow's episode, to end this week of FMOE, I think we're going to pretty much pick things up where we did leave them off today, because our next 2 games are quite big as well. We take on Crusaders at home, currently 4th on the table, and off the back of that, it is another Belfast Big 2 Bell Classico as we travel to take on Glentoran away from home, currently 3rd on the table. Those are 2 quite big games before it does look like a little bit of a lean patch that we do have up until we take on Lan towards the end of the regular season, and of course in that League Cup final as well. So I think we're going to come back for our next 2 games tomorrow, just pick up where we left off, taking on Crusaders and Glentoran in the league. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.